Joining us now on the KSL Sports Zone is Michigan defensive coordinator Jay Hill. Jay, good morning. You're on with PK and Riley Jensen. Appreciate your time.
PK, Riley, what's up, guys?
Yeah. Well, obviously, you're a busy man, so we'll get right to it. Here's the way it works. In the beginning of December, I got word that there might be a decent chance Jay Hill would be the BYU head football coach if Kalani went to Penn State. And by the end of the month, well, that didn't happen. He is the Michigan coordinator. Wow, what a whirlwind month, man. And as you look back, how crazy was it for you?
Well, Decembers are always crazy for coaches. Now, because you got the portal, and also that's such a time for coaching hires and jobs and interviews, and it's such a crazy month. And this one was crazy just with everything going on. And there were other opportunities than the ones you just mentioned. So that's what's crazy is every year Kalani's going to get schools that want him to leave. There were those opportunities for assistant coaches every year. It's a weird month for us.
A few years ago, score was 38-31. You walk off the field from a tough rivalry loss to Snow College. And I'm just wondering if every once in a while you think to yourself, man, I learned a lot of resiliency by losing a tough rivalry game to Riley Jensen. Do you think that's had any influence on you coaching at Michigan?
Did that really happen?
It may not have. Maybe I'm just dreaming.
I don't know if I remember it. I do remember this. Riley was an absolute baller in college.
Oh,
a baller. So,
that's not what I was looking for.
Yeah, my first taste of him was my first year at Rick's College. So
no. In all seriousness, I've had a chance to watch you all the way through your career. I did lose a rivalry game to you when you were at the University of Utah. You've been a tremendous coach at BYU and Utah, but one of the places that I really got to watch you and where I really just gained a ton of respect for you was at Weber State. And I can't remember specifically whether it was a Montana game or a Montana State game, but I was interviewing you at halftime, and I've never seen anybody so calm and basically just tell me, like, hey, we're going to make this change and this change. And you kind of looked at me with that little grin that you have sometimes, and you were like, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And you came out, and it was just masterful how you made halftime adjustments. And I think it's one of the things that you are so good at. And I saw you do it at BYU. Now you're going to be taking it to Michigan. What is it that makes you feel so confident about obviously you put a game plan in to stop from the beginning of the game, but I think you're just masterful at halftime adjustments. How do you do that? What is the process of that as a defensive coordinator?
Well, most of the time in the first half, you've seen the offense do what their main game plan is for you. Mm-hmm. So if you can go in and just tweak and change some of the stuff that you feel like you got to combat it, then that's the idea of halftime adjustments. The other thing is just being able to go into the locker room and look the guys in the eyes and say, okay, here's what we just faced. Here's what's going to happen in the second half. I think that's a critical component to just good coaching is being able to look those guys in the eyes and know what they need. If a coach goes in there freaking out or they're panicked or they looked worried, then that's going to carry on to the players. You've got to go in there with extreme confidence that you know what's happening, you know what's going to happen, and rally the troops such that you can play in the second half the way you got to play to win.
You look at this football schedule this year, it's wow, this is incredible. You know, Oklahoma's a non-conference game, Penn State, Oregon, Indiana, and obviously the rivalry game to end the season. When you're coaching in a conference, now with the transfer portal, it has changed a fair amount in terms of the changeover from year to year, but there are some familiarities with these teams that you play from one year to the next. And with the big conferences, you don't play the same teams like it used to back when you were coaching earlier and then when you were a player. But I'm wondering, how do you get familiar with all these teams that you haven't faced as a coordinator and you've got to know them inside and out?
Yeah, that's a great question. I've spent the last couple months studying our first two opponents, and then I've spent a ton of time studying Ohio State, and then I spent a lot of time studying Iowa because they're the first Big Ten opponent.
Yeah.
Other than that, I don't want to get too far ahead of it because, offenses change from year to year. Coordinators get their flavors of the year, flavor of the game. And you just don't want to get too far ahead of yourself thinking that you're going to study everybody because things do change and coaches change and players change. So that's where I put my focus. Ohio State, because we got to win that game. Iowa, because it's the first Big Ten game, and then the first two opponents because we got to get off to a good start. Other coaches could be different, but that's what I do.
You spent over a decade on Kyle Whittingham's staff, and then obviously you were the head coach at BYU, transitioned to BYU, made them one of the top defenses in the country over the past 3 years. If you think back on your career and on those transitions, what core defensive philosophy has traveled with you through every stop? And is there anything that you've had to change at Michigan, either as far as philosophy goes or personnel?
Well, that's a good question. I watched Kyle when I was a player and a young coach call this defense. I watched Gary Anderson call it. I watched Kalani call it. Everybody puts their own flavor and flair on it. I got to call it at Weber State. And one thing that was cool about that is I could try new things and it might not work. And you know what? Probably nobody knew. And Weber State was so amazing for me because I could really pinpoint and hone in on what I wanted to become as a play caller, as a head coach, as just an assistant coach. I just had so much growth and development. So going back to the question, I believe you got to be able to stop the run. No matter what the offensive scheme is, because they're all different, you got to be able to stop the run. I believe in man coverage when you can do it. Now, I'm not just going to force man just to force it, but I do believe in man coverage because it makes quarterbacks throw tight windows. And if you do it properly with good technique, everybody should be covered. Beyond that, I believe in keeping quarterbacks on their toes and not knowing what's going on in the secondary. So I think we do a good job with disguises. And then I want to keep them on their toes by not knowing if we're in man or cover 2 or cover 3 or whether we're blitzing. So we tried to do a good job of disguising, a good job of mixing it up. So if you're asking me like what I believe in, keep quarterbacks guessing on what's going on, make sure you can play some man coverage, and you got to do things to stop the runs.
Jay Hill joining us, Michigan defensive coordinator right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We've often heard, and Urban Meyer talked about this a lot when he was here, is that the ones in a lot of different places, the talent is there, but at some of these places that aren't quite, quote, as big as others, that it is the backups where they suffer. Now, I heard Kyle talk about Michigan, and he felt like you guys had some obviously great talent, but that you may be a little light in the depth, particularly at the secondary. Could you speak to the depth as far as coaching at Michigan and what you see some of the differences are?
Well, there's a couple things that happened here is when everything went down with Coach Moore, a lot of the players went in the portal because of the experience or whatever had happened, and it was the portal window time. And then when we got hired, your main job is to try to get your players that you want to stay out of the portal and back here at Michigan. So some of the depth things he might be talking about were when we first got here, you're fighting the portal. We believe that we'll get here and recruit at an elite level as good as anyone in the country, and we will not be dealing with depth issues for very long. But I can say this, across the country, nobody has the depth, even at the highest level, that they used to have. Like back 10 years ago when Nick Saban was at Alabama, his his threes could probably beat most teams' ones. And they never left because you weren't getting more money somewhere else, or why would you leave to go somewhere that wasn't winning as much? And so Nick Saban and some of those teams back then just were loaded, ones, twos, threes. Their depth was unbelievable. But now it's harder for teams to keep your depth because someone who's sitting as a backup at say, in Alabama, going back to Nick Saban, if you're at Alabama, you're a backup, you might be able to leave somewhere and make $300,000 or $400,000 more by going somewhere else and being a starter.
Right.
And so that's what's created an issue with depth is money. It's harder to keep your backups because they can go somewhere else to be a starter and make starter money.
Is there any difference? I mean, we know that there's expectations. You're at a major blue blood school now. Is there any difference coaching at Michigan compared to Utah to BYU? Is there any adjustment there, or are you just focused on the same fundamentals that you've always focused on, or does anything change when you're at Michigan?
Well, is there a difference? Yes. Does the process change? Absolutely not. At Utah and BYU, you were playing high caliber, big time football that those guys can go into any stadium in the country and win. And they've proven that, both programs. So I don't think the process changes. Now, when you're at Michigan, you're going to play Ohio State and you're going to have 100 million viewers. I mean, that's different. Mm-hmm. So there are things that are different. There are expectations that outside people, the media and everybody else put on programs like Michigan. But, I mean, the fans at BYU and Utah, do they expect to win every game? Absolutely. Do the coaches go into every game expecting to win? Absolutely. It doesn't matter who we play. We're going in with the game plan and the process and the thought that we're going to win. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't change from place to place.
What's it like just living there? You've lived so long in Utah, and now you're in Ann Arbor. I assume you've been able to shoot par at Barton Hills Country Club and all that, but I'm just wondering, what's it like to live there?
You know what? Michigan has amazing people. I'd never been much in the Midwest. Amazing people, hardworking, very respectful. Ann Arbor is amazing because it's a very educated city. So much of it revolves around the university, but I've been super happy with the people. I've been elated with the program and the resources and the pride that the people take in Michigan, and not just in Michigan, but nationwide. I mean, our alumni base and fan base is amazing. So there's been so many cool things that this place has and represents, and really it starts with the people, great people.
And then I assume you got the membership at Barton Hills?
I don't have a membership there.
Well, then Kyle better take you.
The thing about golfing.
Yes, golf.
I wish I was a good golfer, but we really get to play about 1 or 2 months out of the year. So we never get our golf games completely greased up.
Well, I saw you that one time at the teed off. You were showing off at Ogden Country Club when we went up there to broadcast when you were at Weber. And you crushed one right down the middle.
Yeah, he's good.
And you didn't even have time to warm up.
You're downplaying this.
I know he is. He's sandbagging the people of Michigan right now.
No, I wish I got to play more, but as a coach, you just never will get that opportunity to play as much as you would like to.
Hey, so you're sitting after a big win at Lehigh High School with Bart Brockbank and Cole Cooper. And you guys are like really excited about a win. And then you get to the end of the season, you guys end up going and playing college football at different places and you go different directions. And I know you guys are all still good friends. Is coaching at Michigan something you always thought you were going to do, or is this something that's just evolved as you've coached at, different places? You're like, oh, this could be a possibility, this could be a possibility, and then it just keeps growing on itself? Or was this the plan from day one?
No, I wouldn't necessarily say this was the plan. When I started as a graduate assistant, I wasn't necessarily planning to be a coach, but as I was coaching through those first 2 years, I was like, I love it. I love it so much. I love the relationships. I love the intensity of it. I love the game days. And then, you know, if you're a competitor, if you're going to do it, you want to do it at the highest level.
Right.
And so there were moments when I was at the University of Utah and I wanted to be a head coach. And so I took the Weaver job. And then I got aching for being back in the big stadiums and the atmospheres, and I went to BYU, and the place was amazing and wonderful, and they treated me so well. And being with Kalani again, just everything was so great. And then opportunities come where luckily I've had success, and I've been able to choose between some good opportunities, but I've always felt like and I say we because the staffs at BYU in Utah, there are coaches there that can coach anywhere in the world. I mean, there are elite coaches on both those staffs. And I felt like if the opportunity came up at the right spot, then I would be willing to leave. But it would have had to have been a right spot, like a Michigan.
And there you are. And we'll be watching, Coach. It's going to be real interesting to see everybody because there's so many Utah connections. We've now got another local team we got to follow, the University of Michigan. It's kind of funny the way it played out. So we'll be following it. And just like everybody else, I'll love you as long as you beat Ohio State.
Well, I love that. And just so you know, the fans are the same way here. If you beat Ohio State, they pretty much love you. The one thing I'm looking forward to, and I can't wait for this, I can't wait to watch the BYU-Utah game. I can't wait to watch how Coach Scally does at Utah, Coach Swan on defense, and like Coach Papinga on defense at BYU. There's so much fun stuff happening in both those programs at BYU. I can't wait, or in Utah. I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to watch both of them be successful. And now I'm in a spot where I can cheer for them both, which I love. So.
Yeah, there you go. Well, Jay, we appreciate you giving us some time this morning.
Okay, guys. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Take care.
That is Jay Hill. Riley Jensen setting it up with his connections. He's known so many coaches in the state for many, many years and actually competed against them when he was quarterback at Snow and maybe Utah State a little bit there.
Yep.
So that's Jay Hill, now the defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. It's an incredible thing to say. And I like how he downplays it. Some coaches, you know, everybody's got to have an ego, Riley. But how do players receive it when coaches just deflect? And Kyle did that for so many years. You know, how'd you build a program? His go-to answer is it's all about the players. And as a former player, is that what you want to hear?
Well, like we were talking about with Steve Sarkisian yesterday, if it's authentic, and it is with Jay. Right,
they can sniff it out.
Yeah, you can sniff it out. You hear that crap, and then they come and they're ripping you or moving the goalposts on you. But yeah, you care about the players
because he's out there talking about how you have to, how lucky he was to be in situations to be successful. He's part of the reason why the situations that he was in, if not a significant reason, were successful.
I think the cool thing about Jay, though, is as good as he is, I think he does understand that there is some luck and fortune to the timing of things that happen to you. I don't think that takes away from your hard work ethic and all the things that you put into it. But, you know, when I was growing up, I used to watch John Elway on TV with my dad. Uh-huh. And he's like, hey, just so you know, Riley, for every John Elway in the league, there's two more that were just as good that didn't make it. I'm like, Dad, you don't know what you're talking about. You are crazy as you can be. And then as I've grown up and as I've played college football and as I've seen certain guys and certain coaches and different things happen, there is some fortune every once in a while too. And it's not even guys that like mess it up. It's just like some guys get in the right line at the right place at the right time and everything aligns. And it doesn't take away from how good these other quarterbacks were that maybe didn't make it. It just means that they were in the wrong line at the wrong time and somehow it didn't work out the way it was supposed to. And so for somebody like Jay to recognize that I mean, he even just said it in the interview about how many good coaches there are that could coach anywhere in the world on the two staffs at BYU. He really believes that.
Yeah,
That's
right,
not something that he's just throwing out there.
Right.
And he feels very fortunate and very blessed. And I think that's why it's so easy to cheer for a guy like Jay.
Yeah, no question.
He's just and when he deflects, like he even deflected on his golf game. I mean, he can flat out mash the ball in golf.
I've seen it.
You know, when I was at Weber, when he was at Weber, I'm still at Weber. I'd come walking up right by the volleyball building to go talk to the volleyball team, and he's in one of the most competitive pickleball games that you can even imagine with like three other guys on the staff because they have these little pickleball courts by the volleyball. And I'm like, dude is flat out competing at 40. He's 51. He's a year younger than me, and he's flat out competing over a pickleball game, and it was like must see lunchtime behavior for Weber State football staff. Like they played pickleball every day in the spring at 12 to like 1:30, and it was hardcore. And it's just how he is, and the players love him because he's authentic. Jay's authentic. We talked about that yesterday. He's real to who he is.
All right, there you go. Coming up next, we'll get some Riley's insight on some quarterbacks, particularly one going into his second year at BYU. Stay with us next right here on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeCombe.
SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey, as he kicked off and the SEC kicked off their football media day, said that he is not happy whatsoever with what's going on in terms of the Protect College Sports Act. He has had conversations. The conversations about them tearing away from the rest of college athletics is real.
You know, college football, it's ironic that they're against the Save College Football Act. They don't want to be governed. I mean, that's what I keep hearing. The SEC, the Big Ten, they're the ones that keep dragging their feet. Everybody else wants to get this done, but because they feel like they are better than everybody else, they should get a better deal.
I really can't stand this guy. I really, there are certain people out there that are just hell-bent on wrecking things that don't need to be wrecked.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2. Presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
You know that thing that you love? You'll find others geeking out about it on Facebook. Whether you're looking for community or inspiration, Facebook helps turn passion into action. Obsessed with running a marathon? Discover a neighborhood run club group. Start training and meet your new neighbor. Thinking about cooking more at home? Connect with meal prep groups to discover recipes in a new community. And as you're scrolling the feed, you may even find reels showing you top running shoes or the best tools for your culinary journey. This summer, find more on Facebook.
Okay, man, you just heard Jay Hill, defensive coordinator for the Michigan Wolverines. You can get that on your podcast wherever you go. KSLSports.com has it. I want to tell you about the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. KSL Sports Zone and Beehive Meals are honoring people that impact youth sports in our communities. Nominate youth sports volunteer that you know for the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week at KSLSports.com/contest. Listen every Thursday afternoon to Jake and Ben for the winner. It's the Beehive Meals Hero of the Week. All right, now, talking about quarterbacks. And talking about Underwood there at Michigan and how he was a starter as a first-year freshman. And what did you say? He had 11 touchdowns and 8 picks. And he's going to have to be better this year. And you believe he will be. Well, certainly he's going to have to be with that awesome powerhouse schedule that they've got that Michigan faces this year. And that's the same situation with Bear Bachmeier. He comes in as a first-year freshman, and we know what he does. And this year, I relate it back to when Aaron Roderick was on our air, offensive coordinator for BYU, and he was talking about the increased expectations for Retzlaff from his junior year to his senior year. Now we know he had the other issues off the field there, so his senior year didn't materialize at BYU. But Aaron had set some extremely high standards for Retzlaff going into his senior year in terms of completion percentage and whatnot. Now, what do you think that, and you know Aaron Roderick pretty well, his level of expectation would be for Bear Bachmeier going into his second year as a full-time starter?
Well, I one of the things that I think is interesting about Bear Bachmeier, like just recently, he had like a Mount Rushmore tweet of his favorite. Like, well, they interviewed him, I think, at Big 12 days.
Big 12 media days, yeah, you're right.
They asked who the Mount Rushmore was. It's all running quarterbacks. It's Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
It's Cam Newton. It's Johnny Manziel. It's the only like true passer in there was Joe Burrow, and he was the last one. Right?
Joe Burrow actually has been working with Underwood in the offseason there for Michigan.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think is the next level thing for Bear, and Bear, you know, watching Bear play quarterback, he's one of the most unique. He's a really unique quarterback to me in the sense that, like, he's built like a linebacker. He kind of walks like his gait
his
is like his numbers are linebacker.
I understand he dropped some weight this year,
but he's not your typical quarterback, and he loves to run the ball. I think A-Rod would like to just have like, I think if A-Rod could draw it up perfectly, he'd call for Bear to run on 4 to 6 plays, and then Bear would scramble on 4 to 6 plays. That would get him between 10 and 12 run plays. Well, 8 and 12 is really what I think it would be. And 8 and 12 runs a game would be much more comfortable for A-Rod than some of the games where they've been in a rivalry game and he's running it 20 times. Because they got to keep him healthy. The other thing that I think, and I know that I've said this ad nauseum, so please forgive me if you've heard me say this before, but I think the biggest part of growth when you're playing college quarterback is you have to understand the moving parts in the middle of the field. The easiest throw to make when you first come into college football, right, is a fade down the sideline. It's a rollout and throwing an out. It's an out to the closest hash mark. It is a screen pass. It's those bubble routes. Those are all easy. He throws those really well. He has the arm strength to make any throw that he needs to make. But one of the things that I noticed in the 2 Texas Tech games that were disturbing to me is when he threw over the middle, I'm almost positive, and I haven't asked A-Rod this, so I don't know for a fact, but I'm almost positive that Aaron was actually having to tag who he was throwing to because they were taking away all the outside throws and the streak balls. And they're like, no, we're going to make you read the middle of the field, and you've got to figure out how to do it. And he threw some costly interceptions in those games. And he had some accuracy issues because he wasn't as confident as he could be in the middle of the field. So when you're talking about young quarterbacks making growth and growing into the quarterback that you want him to be, that's where I think he's got to get a lot better. Is he's got to be able to make the throw over the top of a linebacker and in between a safety. He's got to be able to make a whip linebacker who's like the weak outside linebacker's life just miserable, because if he drops back, I'm going to hit the underneath. If he comes up, I'm going to hit the guy over the top. If he blitzes, I'm going to hit the guy right behind him that's running a slant. He's got to be able to throw over the middle with a little bit more intentionality and deliberateness. Now look, anybody can go watch the film and go, well, I can show you where he threw. Yes, but it's not comfortable. There are some throws that he's made, and he's making that effort, but it's got to be a lot better this year for them to take the step that they want to take.
So how do you get that? I mean,
more reps, film study, working with A-Rod to understand what it is that you're trying to do on each play. Like, what do you really want from me on this? Now, that's where I think the consistency of A-Rod being in that program for longer and longer and longer now is.
Oh, yeah. He's been there many years now.
I mean, look, I played for 4 different offensive coordinators in 4 different years when I was in college.
That had to help.
No. I mean, it helped. I'll tell you where.
Some variety in life.
No, well, I'll tell you where it did help me is I have a lot of breadth and I have a lot of knowledge about offenses because I had a guy by the name of Chico Canales who coached in the NFL, coached at NC State. He was my contact that got me to NC State. I played for Ed Larson, who was the 3-time state champion down at Lehigh, best offensive coordinator I've ever had. I played for Bob Petrino at Utah State before he was falling off motorcycles. And then and Norm Chow when I was at BYU. And then for Dave Arslanian. So I actually had 5 offensive coordinators, now that I'm naming them off. All really, really good. So it gives you some it gives you some breadth. It doesn't give you any depth. So the key with A-Rod being there is that he's getting the depth of like what this offense can be. Mm-hmm. So I see him making those steps this year, but he also has to make those steps. So, but I don't see that as pressure. Like me going out on the microphone here and saying, hey, Bear Bachmeier has to be better over the middle of the field. I don't think he would listen to that and go, wow, this guy's being a real jerk to me. I think he'd be like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm working on.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going to take my game to the next level. And then the next part of what I'm talking about here that's really, really important that keeps the chains moving on drives. That keeps you on the field longer as an offense. It keeps you in this ability to keep these big playmakers off the field in the Big 12. And you're driving to score a touchdown on a field goal instead of going 3 or 6 and out.
Yeah.
And now you're giving the ball back to some big-time players on the other team that can score points against you.
Do you think that Aaron Roderick unleashes the playbook? I mean, we expect that, but I'm wondering if that really happens. Because you can't go into it and be reckless just because you're a second-year starter. You haven't necessarily proven it yet.
No, I think every year when you're an offensive coordinator, I've done offensive coordinating in some way, shape, or form for like almost my whole life, at least since college, right?
Yeah.
You put in what a quarterback can handle, and you put in what your receivers can handle, because like there's certain things some receivers can do. Like every once in a while, you have a really, really cerebral wide receiver that it doesn't matter what defense they throw, whether they have a 2-high defense, a 1-high defense, a man-to-man defense, they know exactly what route they should run and how they should run it to get open. Every once in a while you get those. But there's teams where you have really, really physical and athletic wide receivers who can't read a defense. And so everything has to be scripted for them. And that makes the offense a little clunky in the passing game sometimes when you don't have guys that are cerebral wide receivers. And I don't know the wide receivers personally down there. I know they've lost a bunch of wide receivers. I'm hoping that there's a couple of cerebral ones. They don't have to, and those guys that I'm talking about that are cerebral, they don't have to be the biggest burner. It's like, I just spaced his last year, number 2 for BYU.
Chase Roberts,
very cerebral. Wasn't the fastest guy, wasn't a burner, wasn't the guy that like could get behind every defense. Very cerebral and could find the holes in the defense to get himself open and make himself really, really valuable. Very cerebral receiver. Do they have somebody like that this year? I hope so. But all of that has to be taken into account for A-Rod when he's deciding to open up the playbook or not. Is LJ Martin healthy? Is he running the ball effectively? Is the offensive line opening holes for him? I mean, there's a lot of things that go into whether you really open up the playbook.
Yeah, because that's what I'm wondering, because they've got the situation where they got Martin, who was the offensive player of the year last year in the Big 12, which says something to me. That says a lot.
Why do we not talk about him enough?
Because its focus is so much on the quarterback, but I get your point. This kid, and I love the way he runs. He runs so smooth, man. He's not really a herky-jerky guy, man. He just looks like he's gliding as he runs.
He's really good. My brother and I were talking about BYU football the other day, and he brought up LJ. He's like, why doesn't anybody talk about LJ? And I actually think it's because he makes things look so easy and smooth.
Yeah, I think he does.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, he makes hard runs look
He's
really easy.
He's a glider, not a runner. Just the way he moves, his body seems to always be under control, and his personality is like that. The guy has no flamboyance to him whatsoever. He's for a star, he's about as low key as it comes. You're dealing with guys like they had Jamal Williams. The guy, I mean, that guy is, and he was great, no doubt about it. Played many years in the NFL.
However,
but he's in flamboyant as they come.
Yeah, how many guys are going to compare the story of the Good Samaritan to the Bloods and the Crips?
Yeah,
that's Jamal Williams.
I mean, he was a great interview. always a smile, always laughing. Reminds me of a Devin Dampier, only more over the top than Devin. Devin is a great interview too. He's always on top. He's always on his game, and he's always in a great mood. Life is great. I'm getting paid to play quarterback at the University of Utah. What more do I want? And he's just a charismatic guy. Jamal Williams was that way too, at a higher level. You talk to LJ, and he'll give you good answers, but he's so
not flamboyant.
calm. No, but it's so reflective of the way he runs. We used to see like Reggie Bush would come off with these startling plays. How did he do that? LJ, you don't necessarily say how did he do that, but he's just as productive.
But that's what's so fun about great players, though. I mean, Tom Brady was like this. Drew Brees was like this a little bit, in the sense that the great ones make really, really hard plays look easy. They make them look like, one of the things that I talk about with quarterbacks all the time that people don't realize is a swing route to your running back is not a very easy throw. And it's one of those throws that makes you look really bad as a quarterback when you miss a swing route. Like when he's running straight away from you to the sideline and you throw the swing route. Guys like Tom Brady and Drew Brees and these great quarterbacks, they make those throws look like it's like stealing candy from a baby. And then you see a quarterback that misses it, and we all want to kill him. I'm telling you, like, that route right there takes a lot of practice. When you got a big dude who doesn't catch the ball as well as your receivers does, running full speed away from you, he's got to turn his head around. You have to throw it perfect every time. And when you don't, it looks really, really bad. But when you do it all the time, everybody's like, oh, yeah, I mean, that's what you do. You throw a swing route for 8-9 yards to the sideline, and it's not an easy throw.
With LJ Martin on the team, that's why I keep hearing all the playbook's going to be open. Bear's going to be unleashed. He's going to be uncaged. And I'm thinking, well, wait a second here, man. Is that really true? Won't we see a lot of the same stuff that we saw last year? Because it worked, first of all. It clearly worked. They won a ton of ball games with him. And you have a kid like a Martin who he has opportunity to set the all-time rushing record at BYU. Is that what it is?
Yes, he had 1,305 yards last year. That got him within, he's about 1,300 yards away from the all-time leading rushing record. And considering,
who is the all-time? Curtis Martin?
Curtis Martin.
I mean,
it's not Curtis Brown. It's actually
is it Harvey?
It's Algier, I believe.
Algier got it?
Yeah, Jamal took it from Harvey. I think Algier then reset it. He has a situation where he didn't play essentially the entirety of the Iowa State game last year. Remember how limited he was in the first Texas Tech game. I think he had 1,300 yards in, let's say, 10 games roughly last year.
Right.
Yeah.
He's a full 12, 13, 14 games this season. He could run away with that record.
Ah, Yock's got him in the playoff. I see what he done there.
Well, that's the hope.
He's just a good.
Isn't that the hope, though?
For them it is, yeah.
He's
no
a
question.
really good player.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, I don't know. That's my whole point. I don't know that I expect more out of Bear because the offense, as Kalani says, get me in the end zone. I don't care how you get there. Just get me there. And so why wouldn't you take it? I think we might be overestimating Bear's progression. And it's nothing against him, but it's more, especially with the receivers being a collective unknown compared to what they were last year. Now, they were still, if you look at it last year, at the beginning of this time, nobody had any idea, at least I didn't, that Kingston was going to blow up to the level that he did and was almost a 1,000-yard receiver. And we're going to pick anybody, we're going to pick Chase thinking that that's the case. And we knew, I believed Carson Ryan was going to be a good player. That wasn't a surprise. He'd been around enough to know. So I'm wondering just how the offense is going to look. I want to see Bear do what he did last year, maybe at a little higher level, not necessarily do a lot of different things compared to last year.
For the second time in my life.
You agree with me?
I do.
I knew you were going to say that.
No, I mean, it's true, though. Like, you can only open up the offense so much. Yeah. There's some things that I think hold the offense back as far as, like, throwing the ball next year. And so I do think you're going to see a lot of what you saw last year.
Right, that's where I'm
of
going.
Bear and LJ running the ball, establishing the run game, being strategic and surgical in your passing game.
Well, I think the big story to take out of this segment, as we know, that Riley Jensen has been right at least twice in his life. I think that's the most important thing.
Isn't it what they say? A broken clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, a squirrel finds the occasional nut.
Well played, Patrick. Well played.
All right, we
I'll
also got to talk about money. We'll get to that at the top of the hour. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
I am back to where I was before this whole summer league started.
Hall of Fame or bust?
Are we sure any rookie is starting?
Oh, no. We should not be.
No.
I don't think that ever changed, though.
No, I'm totally with you. I started off with, I don't think he's going to start. I said I wouldn't be shocked if Svi Mikhailiuk starts. Maybe it's Ace, but the Jazz are trying to win games next year. Ace wasn't particularly good when he was on the floor in summer league either. I know he had back injuries, but is Ace ready to help you get to the playoffs as a starting shooting guard in the NBA? Well, the truth is probably not, and I think Darren is showing that right now, probably not. He's certainly not the best option you have. And if you are worried about the game of politics out there of, well, why is Ace coming off the bench for Darren if Darren was good but not great in summer league and Ace was good but not great during an entire regular season? Maybe the answer is neither of them starts. That's totally fine.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
That is the music of the Black Crows. I recognize it now. We are giving away tickets to see them coming up in a couple of weeks. Caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE, 801-575-9663 will win a pair of tickets to see the Black Crows with special guest Whiskey Myers at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 13th. 801-575-9663. 575-ZONE. Caller 12, and you will see the Black Crows with special guest Whiskey Myers at Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on August 13th out there on the west side. Okay, have at it. Start your calling. Ready, go. All right, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you've coached high school level ball. You talk about coaching college, and you've coached so many different levels and know so many different people. Weber State, our guy Eric Kjar has got their practices going on now because they play early against Northern Colorado. First 3 games are on the road, including at Colorado, Deion Sanders' team. What level of adjustments do you think that somebody going from high school, not to be an assistant position coach, but going from high school to head coach, that's a big jump.
So let me just start by saying Eric's he's an incredibly charismatic personality. Like, the players are going to love him. The coaches that coach with him are going to love him. I think there's been a little bit, I think inadvertently, the whole Michigan staff going to Michigan messed with his coaching staff a little bit.
How so?
Believe it or not. So Eddie Heckert, for example, was going to be the defensive backs coach. He's at Michigan now. And he had played at Weber and had played at...
Jay Hill guy.
Yeah, Jay Hill ended up taking him. And so there's 2 things that I think are really hard as a high school coach, and I think he's going to be able to overcome it. I don't know if he overcomes it in year 1, right? Because I don't think they're quite there as far as having all the players in place that they want.
You got to have talent.
They have some really good players, and they've hustled really hard. So, like, it's not like they're not out there, like, doing it. They're just, you got to have a certain amount of bodies on a team, and you got to have a certain amount of depth. I don't think he quite has it yet. I think he would tell you that. I don't think this is me. Here's where I think it'll be a little bit difficult. I think the hardest part for a high school coach to do is to put together a really good staff. I think that's a harder part than anything. Now, I think he has some parts there. I don't know if he has all the parts that he really wants. I mean, we'd have to give him truth serum to, like, actually really say whether he has all the coaches that he wants.
Yeah.
I think that's hard. And then I think getting all of your coaches on the same page and having the same standard for who you're recruiting to come in and how you want to recruit them. Now, Weber's in a little bit of a unique situation because when you look at a high school film and you see a really good player, well, if he's a really good player on a high school film, he's going to get offered by Utah or BYU. And you're not going to get him.
Yeah.
So you have to be able to have like a standard and have an understanding of like where this player fits with Weber State and why he fits at Weber State. And that takes a couple of years, I think, to like really establish with your coaching staff and even with yourself about how am I going to compete in this league. And to be honest with you, a lot of people call the Big Sky Conference kind of either the SEC or the Big Ten of FCS football. Right? It's a really good conference. And
no question.
You have to get good players. You got to figure that out. So I think those are the two hardest things as a high school coach. Really maybe hardest things to do as just a new head coach. Now, but if you're a new head coach from like another college, you kind of have established like what your standard is for what you're going to recruit and how you're going to do that. But I'll say this. I have an 11-year-old son right now. I don't know if he hopes to play college. He loves every sport, so I don't even know that football is his number one sport right now. He plays football, basketball, and baseball. But if my son were to play college football, I would love to send him to Lance Anderson at Utah Tech, Eric Kjar at Weber State, Kalani Sitake, Morgan Scalley, and Bronco Mendenhall. I think those are 5 of the very best men that I would want to send my kid to play with. I think that rivals anywhere in the country. Those are good dudes. Great coaches, good people, would take care of your son. I think we are in one of the most unique situations in the state of Utah right now as far as like good men being at the helm of the universities here in the state of Utah. Now, I don't know the Southern Utah coach as well. I don't know him at all. I'm not saying he's not. But those 5, if my kid played for any of those 5, I'd be like, oh, how awesome is this? Let's put on the hat and let's ride into the sunset. This is going to be a fun thing for my son.
Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable people. Like Eric Kjar is as charismatic. If he were sitting in this room right now, he would have some story in between segments that would be laced with a couple of curse words that we can't throw on air. And you and I would be eating up the stories. We'd be eating up the stories.
I think he makes fun of me too much, though.
He makes fun of everybody, you big baby. You're not unique.
Oh, I'm not at all.
It's called the spotlight effect. You're like, oh, he's picking on me. No, he picks on everyone.
He likes to ride people.
You think he's just picking on you.
He likes to ride people. Well, it would upset my wife.
Because he teased you too much?
No, he teased her.
Oh, well. Okay.
Worked with him for many years.
That's a whole, like, listen, one of the hardest things I've had to learn in my marriage is that I cannot tease my wife the way I used to tease my teammates. And that's kind of how you show you love your buddies. We tease the heck out of each other.
Oh, I know.
I have a friend that tells me, this is his joke with me. He's like, if the Lord and Savior himself walked through that door, you'd make fun of his sandals, Riley.
That might be a little bit stretching it. One of my proudest moments was when Bronco Mendenhall made fun of me.
That is a sign of endearment.
Right.
And that probably doesn't come easy from him.
Yeah. I remember.
Because that's not his natural
No, it's not.
MO.
But he felt comfortable enough around me to tease me.
That is actually phenomenal.
And I used to love it when Kevin O'Connor, an Irishman from back east, we got a little bit of background.
Yeah.
And he would give me crap all the time. And I loved it.
Oh,
that's what I do.
In some ways, I've actually read some psychological studies on this. One of the reasons why it happens in the locker room so much, and I want to dig deeper into this. I'm thinking about going to some more schooling because I want to study this a little bit. One of the reasons why the college and high school locker room is, and really even like little league sports is really important, is because your ability to take teasing is an indicator as to whether your teammates can trust you under pressure situations. And there's some some correlation that some of the teasing that takes place is put in place not consciously, subconsciously, to see, hey, can PK take it? Can he handle a little bit of pressure? I'm going to tease him a little bit here to see if he's really my guy, see if he can really handle like an adverse situation. And then if you respond to that well, and you give it back to me, or in some way you deflect it in a funny way, or there's a million ways to react to it. But if you can't take it, you can get like removed from the hierarchy of a team if you're not careful. So guys do that not only to show that they care about someone, but to find out whether I can trust you or not.
I got it. Yeah. Riley Jensen is also a mental health performance coach. He has a website. If you want his services, what is your website?
rjpg.net. That's like Riley Jensen Performance Group.net. rjpg.net. rjpg.net. And he works with a lot of different people doing some great work. Okay, when we come back, we're talking about a quote that the Iowa coach said about imbalance relative to money. We'll get to that next. Stay with us. 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
On the under $3 menu at McDonald's, a McChicken is $1.50. Because when you're craving a McChicken, you deserve a McChicken. And now that McChicken is just $1.50 with McValue.
Limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher for delivery.